Hey guys, welcome to Wrenchin. My name's Ben, and today I'm wrenching on this 2012 Hyundai Accent. It's got some noise coming from the engine, and I'm pretty sure it's coming from an engine mount. So let me show you what it sounds like, and I'll show you the engine mount that I'm going to change out. It's not super noticeable from inside the car, but it's just got kind of a weird noise coming from this area. So when I started looking at it, the first thing I noticed is that I can move this pretty easily. It's got some play right here. I don't think it should have that. And I also reached underneath to feel the bottom side of it. And the boot down there is just coming apart. So I'm gonna change that out. The one that I got came in a 3-pack. There are 2 more mounts on this side that it comes with. I'm gonna change those out if I have time, but I think this is where the problem's coming from. So I'm gonna focus on this right now. And if I have time, I'll do the other 2 and put those in a separate video. One is underneath the battery tray. It is an upper transmission mount. And the other is underneath. It's real easy to see down there. It is a lower transmission mount. So there's the one on the bottom. It's just got 1 big bolt on this side and then 2 bolts holding it into the frame. So that one looks like it won't be too bad. The one underneath the battery tray is a different story. I'm pretty sure I'll have to take out the battery as well as the tray to get to that one. It's got an access port in the wheel well where you take out the other bolts that hold it in. And for all 3 of these, you got to use a jack and a block of wood to hold up either the transmission or the engine, depending on which mount you're changing out. So like I said, today I'm going to focus on this one. I'm going to get my jack with my block of wood underneath the engine, just slightly put some pressure on it, take this off and put the new one in, and hopefully it'll be that easy. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my jack, get that under the engine, and then I'll start unbolting this. All right, and I just put a little bit of pressure on that. I want it loose enough that when I loosen all these nuts and bolts, the engine's gonna drop down slightly. I can jack it back up a little bit once I get this lined up and get everything tightened down, but I don't want too much pressure on that oil pan. So I've got 4 nuts and bolts on this bracket. These are all 17 millimeter, and 3 bolts holding in the actual mount. These are 14 millimeter. This will go a lot quicker if you've got an impact gun. I'm gonna try to do it without though, in case you guys don't have one. So I've got a 17 millimeter socket and a 14 millimeter socket. And I'm going to start out with a 15-inch breaker bar and see if I can get all of these with just that. All right, so all those broke free. I'm using a 10-inch extension, so I got a little bit more room. And I'll go ahead and make sure I can break these 14 millimeter bolts loose. All right, none of that was difficult at all. I got all of them loosened up. And from there, I can use the drill to get these out the rest of the way. And I should see the engine drop just a little bit when I get this one out. So it is now resting on my block of wood. And now I can go ahead and take these 14 millimeter bolts out. That one's a nut. I can use a pry bar to separate these 2, and I can use a rubber mallet to break this loose. There we go. So there's the bracket, and there is the motor mount. I'll just use some green cleaner to clean this area up. And we'll call that good enough. So that really wasn't too difficult to remove. I've got my bolts laid out so that I didn't lose where each of them went. And this is why I suspected that this was bad. So I could get my hand underneath it and I could feel this boot here, and I noticed that it was ripped. And there's all kinds of junk coming out of there. And also I noticed when I grabbed on this, I could move this pretty easily. I don't think this should move this easily. So that tells me that this mount's probably bad. I'm hoping that's where the noise is coming from, but I'll find out when I get the new one installed. And getting this new one from Amazon was a bit of a disaster. Part got delayed twice. I ended up having to order it twice just to get one here, but it did come with a set of 3 mounts. I'm gonna install these other 2 mounts in a separate video. But after a week of delays, I finally got the new one. I actually had to put the old one back in while I waited for this one because I did not want the engine sitting on a block of wood on my jack for a week. So I finally got this one. It feels a lot sturdier. This is a lot harder to move this than it is on this one. and that one's a lot more loose. So I really think that's where our problem was coming from. I can compare these two and see they look exactly the same. The bolt holes are in the same locations, so everything's good there. So I did get this kit on Amazon. It was like $58. After it was delayed the first time, I checked on AutoZone and found the same kit, but it was $276. So while I will advocate for Amazon because they have cheap parts and they usually ship quickly, this one took forever and that was annoying. All right, rant over. Let's go ahead and get this installed. And I can go ahead and drop this new one in place. I just need to line up this bolt hole here and then line up these two holes here. I'll start this nut on this post. I'll leave it loose so I can line these up and get both of these bolts started. It helped to kind of lift up on this and get it level to get this third bolt started. And I'll go ahead and get these three snug down with my drill. And then these three get torqued down to 47 foot-pounds. And now I'll go ahead and get this bracket on. I am gonna have to raise the engine up a little bit to get these posts to line up. So I'll just put it on where it's supposed to go, jack up the engine just a little bit, and then I'll need to jack it up just a little bit more to get this center bolt lined up. So I can see it needs to go up just a little bit more. And that actually looks pretty good. Check and see if it'll thread in yet. Move the bracket around a little, see if that helps. And there I got it started. It helped to pull up on this bracket and get it level with the engine mount. And so from there I can spin these three down. And I can see I'll need to raise the engine up just a little bit more. And I'm just making sure that these are lined up and this surface is flat on the surface where it mounts to the engine. It looks good. I just want to make sure I get these even. And then each of these also gets torqued down to 47 foot-pounds. And last but not least, this nut here on top that connects the two gets torqued down to 60 foot-pounds. And I didn't check this with the part out of the car, but when I reach under and feel that boot at the bottom, if I push on it, it sounds like there's some fluid in there. Not sure if you can hear that, but that indicates to me that that old one definitely was bad and this one's gonna make some kind of difference. And I definitely can't move this as easily as I could with the old one on there. So whether or not this fixes the noise that we were getting, I think it definitely needed changed out, so it was a good idea to do anyway. So now I can get my jack out from under here. And I'll take it for a spin and we'll see how it sounds. All right, so a bit of good news, bad news with this one. The bad news is that that mount didn't fix the issue that I'm having. There's still a noise in the engine bay. I'm not really sure where it's coming from. But the good news is I did get a part changed out that was at least on its way to failing. And I've still got the other two mounts to do. I'm gonna do those at some point and I will link those down below once I do them. But as you can see, the snow is starting to come down, so I'm gonna get this car back to its owner. So that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next video.